The following sequence of photographs and film was taken by the astronauts. While in space, they had many encounters with UFOs that are now being revealed for the first time after decades of secrecy. On the Gemini 4 spaceflight on June 3, 1966, astronaut James McDivitt took a photograph of this cylindrical object. On the mission of Gemini 7, astronaut Frank Borman reported seeing these two objects flying in formation. On the Mercury 1 mission on February 20, 1962, John Glenn took this picture of two glowing objects. On the Gemini 11 mission, September 13, 1966, Pete Conrad and Richard Gordon observed a cluster of UFOs alongside their craft. They described them as large and very bright. During the Apollo 11 mission in July 1969, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin saw these two UFOs, which were in orbit around the moon. The astronauts filmed the extraordinary glowing objects from the Apollo 11 spacecraft and reported to Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas, that the UFOs even accompanied them to the moon. Many astronauts made their own private films while on space missions. This film, shot by James McDivitt in a long sequence, shows the remarkable aerobatic ability of UFOs. The astronauts faced UFOs so regularly that they became part of their everyday life. Because of restrictions, however, they were unable to describe their encounters to the public. One of the first to break the silence is former astronaut Brian O'Leary, a professor of physics and an astronomer from Princeton University, who comes forward for the first time to speak of the reality of visitation from out of this world.
What I do know from my own experience and from scientific investigations and experiments is that UFO phenomena and a range of other events are part of our reality, as incredible as they may seem.
Jetzt war es dann endlich soweit. Der erste Mann war auf dem Mond gelandet.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
During their moonwalks, a giant glowing UFO hovered above their heads. While in orbit around the moon, a huge object remained in view for a considerable amount of time before it suddenly disappeared. This UFO was seen above the landing site. This cigar-shaped UFO was photographed from the orbiting space module.
Down to the pad. That may have been a small deal, but that's all.
On this very first trip into the unknown, the astronauts repeatedly reported to Mission Control that they were being escorted by unidentified flying objects. After landing on the moon, the astronauts stated that the UFOs were still present in the distance, hovering near a large crater. They were well aware that they had been observed throughout their entire mission.
It's also like sundown again. Yeah, powder. I was strolling on the moon one day in a merry, merry month of December. No, May's the month. May, that's right. May is the year of the month. When, much to my surprise, a pair of lovely eyes. Hello, Ryan. It's Houston. Hi there. We lost you for a while. Yeah, we sure did.
The momentous leap to the moon led to the dawning of the space age. Space travel opened up endless opportunities for mankind to explore new frontiers. NASA's plans are already well underway for colonies to be developed on other planets, beginning with Mars.
Very rarely enter the Earth's atmosphere, but on one rare occasion, this remarkable film was shot of such a ship flying at low level over Germany in 1980. The object was seen by other witnesses in a nearby village who reported seeing 3 smaller craft emerging from the larger one. They stated that the craft was at least 100 feet long. This film of a cigar-shaped mothership was taken in Rhode Island, America on June 3, 1967. The leaf effect motion of the ship is common with most sightings. Craft of this size and shape have been reported all over the world. This aerial photo was taken by Inaki Ozis while flying at 8,000 feet in February 1968. Probably the same cigar-shaped mothership was photographed in Texas 10 days later. Over the following few days, an object fitting a similar description was reported by various witnesses.
Life aboard our motherships is ruled by a mixture of self-discipline, love of each other, and the merging of all spirits into one. Every need is catered for in respect of rest, recreation, and meditation of the soul. Illness does not prevail, but analyzation and antidotal equipment is always ready in case of unexpected or unknown space microbes attacking the craft or our bodies.
Our food is comprised of a rotation of the many choices available on our own planet, but does not include the flesh of other life forms. We do occasionally take the fruit of certain organic trees and shrubs found on other planets, but only when they are known to be totally safe and pollution-free. Our water on the craft is produced by cosmic conversion. All byproducts are disposed of by the disintegration of the composite molecules. The psychological spirit of each of us is at one with the elements which surround us, and when we are at one with our universe, we are at peace.
My personal views on UFOs are that these are alien-piloted vehicles. When I say alien, I mean alien to anything we know. That possibly they come from other worlds, but I think it's highly likely also that they come from other dimensions, other time spheres, and that there isn't one type of alien coming here. There are probably many of them, all from different areas. When people report these things, we get such a variety of things reported, so many shapes, so many forms, and this appears to cause the confusion because there is such a variety of these things. But really speaking, if these things are visiting us from a whole host of different areas, one would expect them to be different forms, different machines, and I think this personally is the answer to it.
Meanwhile, we scan the skies with optical and radio telescopes of great power, which penetrate the universe for 15 billion light years, watching, listening for signs of intelligent life. Large numbers of people on Earth wait and watch in the hope that one day they may be contacted or visited by visitors from space.
In Russia, a large crowd of people who had gathered to watch a famous singer being filmed saw more than they had bargained for when a UFO suddenly appeared above their heads. The camera crew quickly focused their camera on the object and recorded an aerial display that lasted several minutes. The crowd found this more intriguing than the singer. Even she eventually stopped singing to watch the UFO. Numerous UFOs are seen over Russia regularly. These balls of light are identical to those reported in Belgium and the rest of Europe in 1990, which attracted extensive attention on top military and civilian levels. In April 1990, this cigar-shaped UFO was filmed over Russia by an amateur. These flying objects are now acknowledged by the Russian military as being alien flying machines.
The nucleus, the authentic nucleus of the UFO phenomenon must be our research field, and that is certainly worthwhile. however skeptics may talk about the UFO phenomenon, whether they call people who have encountered psychopaths or even scientists who concern themselves with UFOs as cranks, we simply have to accept, if we inform ourselves, that there's a small percentage of absolute authentic cases which represent the UFO phenomenon. And we must continue to investigate this nucleus. It will be worthwhile.
When I first saw my UFO, I always quote my UFO now, you've got to bear in mind I was dealing with something like this with the clinical mind of a policeman. So my immediate reaction was, well, what makes a thing like this tick? How does it go? How can you get an enormous machine like this which doesn't make sound? Why does it look so beautiful? Why did I see it? Why was it there? There are so many whys. And I knew I had to find out answers to these things. It was very, very difficult. There was no easy way of finding an answer to something like this. But it seemed to me that things naturally came my way. I started to receive reports from people as it became known I was interested in this subject. And then I had so many other incidents following this of close encounters. It was quite amazing, really, because these things seemed to know where I was, even when I wasn't on the initial hillsides where I found them. I had occasions when I would be driving down a country road, then suddenly one of these things would be in the sky, flying alongside me very close. And it was almost a cat and mouse game. And I had nothing but no fear, never any fear, because there was never anything directed towards me which would indicate there was any hostility. And so I got a sort of affection for them. I had to keep thinking, what kind of technicians put something like this together? Because it was such an amazing thing. But I knew that this thing was not from here.
For the past 45 years, people from every country have reported seeing UFOs. The descriptions of these objects have been all too similar, despite the fact that the witnesses live thousands of miles apart. Witnesses include astronauts, pilots, scientists, and police, even presidents of the United States. Jimmy Carter and Ronald Reagan have spoken openly about their seeing UFOs. Since 1945, an estimated 5 million UFO sightings have been reported from across the world. Most sightings are of singular objects, although many are of 2 or 3. In some cases, large formations have been spotted. The greatest number of UFOs usually appear after 9 p.m. Although a large percentage of these sightings can be explained as natural phenomena, many cannot. Thousands of people are asking questions. What are these UFOs? Where do they come from? Why can't I see one? Why are they here? And more people want to communicate with the extraterrestrials, to learn more about them, get to know them, to understand.